Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here with my review of the Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian, entitled The Rescue. Now, the synopsis of this episode is pretty simple. It picks up where last week left off, quite literally, insofar as what we have is a situation where Din Djarin, which, by the way, is the Mandalorian's name if you didn't know, is still working with Boba Fett and his folks, I guess Fennec, and they're trying to get to Moff Gideon to rescue Grogu. They go and enlist the help of Bo-Katan and set off to take him back and to confront Moff Gideon. So, when they first meet up with Bo-Katan, there's a little bit of a kerfuffle because they don't like the fact that Bo-Katan and her companion don't like the fact that Boba is wearing Mandalorian armor, so they kind of have a little disagreement there. But that comes to a revolution very quickly. But Boba Fett's a badass. Can I just say that? So yeah, the Bo-Katan says, "Okay, we'll help you get Grogu back, but you got to help us, lay siege to this ship that Moff Gideon is on." And of course, it's a siege episode. How quaint! Like we haven't had any of those. But off they go, and their plan is that they are going to use their stolen Imperial shuttle to set up a ruse, kind of like in Return of the Jedi. But this time they're going to have Boba Fett chase them and fire on them in Slave One to make it look, real. So they go about doing that, and Moff Gideon's like, launch the TIE fighters. And he tells, the shuttle to stay clear of the TIE fighter launch bay because he wants to take out Slave One to save the shuttle. But, of course, their goal is to get onto the ship, so they sort of ignore this. And just after we see, for the first time, I think, a TIE fighter launch sequence, which was pretty cool, they do exactly the opposite and, slam down the launch bay of the TIE fighters in a sort of wrong way Clyde. What was that? Was that cartoon character Wrong Way? I don't know. Anyway, was it Wrong Way Sung? Is that the Star Trek thing? Someone say Wrong Way? So I don't remember. Anyway, they go in and out basically to get themselves on Moff Gideon's ship, and it was pretty crazy. But then they're essentially on this ship, and they have a plan to A, rescue Grogu, and B, take on Moff Gideon and get the Darksaber back. So they split up. And as they're walking around, you're seeing the innards of this ship, and we get to see a Death Star droid, this time a functional one, which is pretty cool. Of course, the heroes are able to just use the elevators, right, to get up and down between levels. Get up to the bridge, to get down to the brig, because no one thought to shut down the elevators on the ship. But then Moff Gideon says, okay, we're going to release the Dark Troopers to stop them. So just as they're about to get free, Mando manages to seal most of them in their their main room where they are housed. And before one can escape, he blows most of them out the airlock, out the space door. And I was thinking, why is there even a space door there? Is that how they would launch them, like they did in the previous episode? I guess it could be, but I just thought it was weird. There's a space door there without a force field. I don't know, maybe he dropped the force field. Anyway, most of the troopers go bye-bye, and he has to take on this one Dark Trooper, and it's a pretty epic fight. It was very cool to see that. But he eventually manages to get to the holding cell where Grogu is, and there's a bit of a tense scene between him and Moff Gideon, and little Grogu is sitting there in his manacles, supposedly, ostensibly to keep him from using the Force, but like, I wasn't under the understanding that you absolutely had to like raise your hands to use the Force, and that they had to be separate from each other. Like, why couldn't he just like, use the Force like that? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know that he can. But then there's a crazy fight scene between Mando and Moff Gideon, and it was really cool. Just a really cool fight sequence. This show is really good at the fight sequences. So he manages to best Moff Gideon and get the Darksaber from him and bring him up to the bridge where Bo-Katan and company have taken over. And shortly thereafter, a whole squadron of Dark Troopers arrive, and they're boarding the ship. And Moff Gideon's like, oh, you're in for it now. The android troopers are here. The droid troopers are here. The superpower troopers are here. What are you going to do? And they're all panicking, and I'm thinking, why not just use an EMP? Have these people not heard of an EMP? Just wipe them out. It's pretty simple. But, of course, that doesn't occur. Then I'm thinking, okay, why are they worried? They have the Darksaber. Wouldn't they just be able to slice through them with the Darksaber? It cuts through everything but Beskar. Supposedly. So why were they worried? Because they thought they'd be overwhelmed? Maybe. I don't know. But you'd think that they would be able to... I don't know. Anyway, then just as these Dark Troopers are about to break their way through into the bridge, and everybody's standing there with their guns trained on the door, a little X-Wing fighter goes by. And I'm thinking, okay, there was that moment from a previous episode that they showed in the recap, and there was that whole sequence in the previous episode where Grogu is on the Seeing Stone, and we know from the episode before that Ahsoka told Din that if Grogu did that, a Jedi might hear him and come searching for him. So I'm thinking, well, who flies an X-Wing? And then I was like, could be Luke. But no, they won't go there. And then this person in the X-Wing fighter comes down, is coming down the hallways and walking around and taking out the Dark Troopers with the Force, and all of a sudden they ignite a green lightsaber. And I'm going, oh shit. And I notice that he has one bare hand and one gloved hand, and I'm saying, oh my god, this is Luke Skywalker. But it can't be, because they wouldn't do that. There's no way they're going there. Though I had heard that there was some talk about Luke showing up in the Ahsoka show that's coming, but I was like, nah, they're not going to do that. How are they going to do that? So, that's what I was thinking. But, then when the hood dropped, I was blubbering like a fool. Not gonna lie. Bawling my eyes out, sobbing like a fool. I was 12 years old again. It was glorious. Glorious. And they actually got Mark Hamill to do it, which we didn't really have, I don't think, with the Princess Leia CGI that they did. Certainly we didn't get it with the Grand Moff Tarkin CGI that they did, because Peter Cushing was deceased. But this was actually Mark Hamill doing the voice and everything, and it was insane. And then, of course, R2-D2 comes in, and it's just, forget it. Forget it, I'm a goner. I need the Kleenex. It was just amazing. I was 12 years old again. So I'm sitting there watching the credits and recovering from this and not expecting anything else. But then we're on Tatooine. And wait, that's Jabba's palace. What the hairy hell? Bib Fortuna? What is going on? I'm like, Bib the Hutt. But then, of course, Boba Fett comes in and kicks everybody's ass, and he sits on the throne, and I'm going, okay, Boba the Hutt. That works. And then just before the credits roll again, they say, The Book of Boba Fett 2021. I'm like, the Book of what? What? Okay, I'm down with that. But here's the question. I originally thought to myself, oh, they're saying there's going to be a Boba Fett series. They didn't announce that on the investor call, on Investor Day. Cool. But then I was reading back rumors about how Pedro Pascal kind of wanted to take a break, and how they were saying the season 3 is going to be Boba Fett. And I'm like, that tracks, because the story that we've had thus far is sort of resolved. Din accomplished his mission, got Baby Yoda to one of his kind, and kept him out of the hands of the Empire. And that story's done. So there's no reason they can't switch Mandalorians at this stage. I mean, they could continue on with Din and have a different story for him in the next chapter, but they could also switch to Boba Fett. So it looks like that's what they're going to do, unless he is going to get his own series, but I doubt it. I think they're just going to continue on with him for the next season. I don't think they're done with Din Djarin, because they left a couple of things open. He is now in possession of the Darksaber, and of course Bo-Katan wants it. And Moff Gideon had said that the only way that can happen is by combat between them. So we've yet to see how that's going to resolve. They also said, well, we already have his blood. Moff Gideon tells Din this, and I don't know, he could have been making that up, but it seems to me that it's reasonable to believe that they did in fact take at least some blood from him during the time that they had him. So, of course they would like to have kept him to keep taking the blood as they needed it, but they probably did already take some, and I don't think they're just going to abandon that whole plot line about, Moff Gideon trying to create Force-sensitive beings. So I think we're going to see, Din Djarin and that whole crew again, but it looks like for next season at least, we're going to be dealing mainly with Boba and Fennec. So, I'm good with that. If they hadn't wrapped up this whole thing with Baby Yoda or Grogu, I would have been upset, of course, for them to switch focus. But at this point, let them switch focus. It's fine. I'm not married to, the Din Djarin character. And I like what they've been doing with Boba Fett. So, and how do you argue with, Ming-Na Wen? Ming-Na Wen, is that her name? I know I'm saying it wrong. How do you argue with that? You can't argue with that. So, yeah, that's the season finale. I'm definitely looking forward to season 3. And just thank you, Jon Favreau. That's all I have to say. Thank you for this series. Thank you for this ending. Thank you, Mark Hamill, for saying yes to this. For a brief shining moment, I was 12 years old again. Just incredible. And, because for some reason I was expecting Mark Hamill to look more like he looks now. I didn't expect them to go full Return of the Jedi appearance, for some reason. I don't know why. But they did, and I just could not believe my eyes. I was stunned and just thrilled. So, thank you to everybody involved in making that happen. But I'm sure we haven't seen the last of Grogu, so, we'll have to see what comes in Season 3 and Season 4, and whether or not he'll be in Season 3, how long it'll be before we see him again if he's not. I don't know, but it's all on the table. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to talk about. So I will again say, my friends, I'll be back when there's news. Certainly by the time we get a new episode of Discovery. Until then, peace and long life.